Hey, Sean with Xpress. I wanted to share a case study with you about a dentist we had in La Jolla, California. Now, I recently did a video on a dental implant funnel, which had crazy return on investment numbers, 30 to 45x. That is not typical at all. That was like a great case study on something that slow rolled into success. But I want to give you kind of a lower end spectrum of something that does get a return on investment. Usually I would say our return on investment is about 5 to 6, maybe 8x if you're doing good. And this is on a month over month, 30 day. You put in X dollars, and 30 days you get Y dollars. So that's a 5, 6, 8x. This case study is actually going to be a 3x ROI. So we had a dentist in La Jolla, California, and he started in May of 2024. And this tracks him all the way through September 2025 for this case study. He did a website, he did paid ads, and he did search engine optimization. He was doing about, it was $78,000 is what he spent in the full service. He paid $78,000 over that lifetime. We were able to track by working with him. We use a tracking sheet. We see all the leads that come in. So when we look at all those leads, let me get some numbers here. So we spent $78,000 and we generated 506 leads. So 506 unique verified leads came in over that time frame. And this is an area of California, which is pretty pricey. It's pretty expensive. Of the 506, 322 of those were qualified. So he got 506 leads, 322 were deemed as qualified. So this isn't the wrong insurance, not too far, not wrong service, etc. Wrong service would be a dentist who doesn't see kids and a pediatric lead comes in. Okay, and then he went on to give another breakdown. So if you take the ad spend and the cost of services and you divide the leads, you get a $154 lead. So verified lead, name, number, potentially email on form fills. Now the cost for a qualified lead was $242. And the revenue generated from this overall was $239,000. This breaks down to a 3.06x return. It is rounded down to 3. So that means that in the total time frame, the income generated was a 3x. Now there are a couple stipulations on that. And this is why this is an interesting case study, because it's on the lower average, but there were a couple barriers they were facing. So one thing is it's only tracked on a rolling 30 days. So if the lead comes in, we only track for that month for the ROI. So this isn't the lifetime value. It's like a short window. So if the lead comes in March 1st, we're only tracking if they generated income within that first 30 days, just because that's how our tracking works. So we only have 30-day windows that we're looking into this. We're not looking at lifetime value. So that's one stipulation on their ROI that I want to make clear. This means that for every 33 cents of marketing spend, he got $1. So a lot of dentists are in a boat where they have maybe only so much staff at the front or only so much staff in the business or office. So they don't have a lot of like extra muscle to do a bunch of follow-ups. So that was the case here. They did not do, the lead would come in, there'd be initial contact attempt, but there was not multiple follow-ups. There was no SMS drips. There was no long-term email drips. And there was no lead reactivation. So the lead would come in that month. They would attempt to handle that lead right then. If they did not, the lead was canned. This is not obviously best practice, but that's what the office did at the time based on the resource and what they were willing to do. So that was one thing that went against this campaign. It might be, a small thing in your mind, but actually it's the follow-up that makes these campaigns really kick butt and do well. So that was not happening. So this meant that most of the conversions came from leads that were hot then. So they converted them within that phone call or shortly thereafter. The other piece here is that there was a point in about July, we had to shift budget from Google search to Google local service ads. So the budget shifted and changed. It went back and forth a couple times as the client was deciding which way to go. That was one thing. There was also a flood in the office where they had to go down to one operatory, I think from 3 or 4. I can't remember which one, for about a month or so. And so this limited scheduling and being open and all that kind of stuff. There was also a server issue. I don't have the full details on it, but they experienced challenges that were going on. So based on that, we were able to track a 3.06x return on a rolling 30-day window. I mean, that's pretty awesome. It's not amazing. It's not that 45x return, but given the barriers to do $1 and get 3 on that window of tracking, that's not bad. And so that's kind of the lower end of results. And we're able to do that in a dentist in a super competitive area with like a good service mix of a website, fully designed, customized, good call to actions, conversions, search engine optimization, which takes several months to start getting results and bring in new patients, and paid ads with a budget that would be minimum for that part of California, just because the cost per click is pretty high. It could be like $20, $30 for one click. So that meant we had to convert like every 3 clicks, every 5 clicks into a lead. And then of those leads, I think it was like 60% or 70% had to be qualified. So based on those numbers, it was a pretty interesting case study of what we can do with marketing here at Xpress. I just wanted to share it with all of you. Thanks for listening.